frankincense trees on the It's great to be back in Salalah, Oman at the Young Living Frankincense Farm and Distillery, and to be standing here in front of one of our frankincense trees on the farm. And it's just starting to go into full bud, which will be in flower in January, February. The flowers are so exquisitely beautiful. It's just amazing. We just finished the resin harvest a few weeks ago, and now have been for several months, busy distilling the Boswellia sacra, the sacred frankincense. Now we'll go to our distillery. Exciting to be able to share this with you, the installation of our second distillery we just installed a few weeks ago, and our new condenser, which I'm really excited about. It's a configuration taking a stainless steel coil that is designed like a radiator and coiling it into the condenser, running the water through. It allows the separation from going from the gas phase to liquid phase to travel slower, cool at a more efficient exchange rate, and we're seeing a greater separation from the hydrosol to where we're getting almost 100% recovery of the oil from the water. Frankincense is growing, and our production here is growing every day. But with Young Living, we don't just talk about oils, and we don't just talk about our production and marketing them. We go to the mountains, we go to the trees, we gather our own resin, we bring it here to our distillery in Salalah, and we do our own distillation. And here we're looking at the golden hued resin that we gather in the Al-Hasik Mountains in central Oman and bring here to our distillery. That's why Young Living is the world leader, because we're the only ones that go to the source and distill it. And also we have the laboratories for analyzing it. But folks, this is the haugery, which has been referred to as the holy frankincense. We call it sacred frankincense, the greatest frankincense in the world, the purest in the world. And in years past, only the royal families could have possession of it as a resin. We know without question that we produce the finest quality oil in the world. That's why Young Living is the world leader of essential oils and always will be.
Hello, it is Kat and DC, and we are reading more transcripts. We've been going through the Young Living v. doTERRA lawsuit, and just heard a bunch of propaganda by Gary Young himself. He is no longer with us, and hopefully Young Living is on their way out. That's just my personal opinion. But
seems like it. Seems like they are.
Yep. And it's just funny listening to him talk about how they're a leader in oils and all that other stuff after the things that we've read in the transcript so far.
It's also funny because in the on Thursday, the transcript was talking about, he was mentioning that he doesn't use like religious based undertones in his like verbiage around Young Living. Yep. And that was like what we heard throughout this whole.
Yes. And he was saying it's not religious undertone, it's spiritual undertone. And it was just one of those things where it's like, you're missing the point. You need to take a step back, because literally what you are saying has religious undertones, even if you don't say it is.
Okay, that's like how you want to run your business, but like you have to like, don't lie about it in court.
Yep. Crystal, Charlene, Mermeow, Your Morning Guru, Lynn, Sky, Megan, Des. I hope everyone, and Elizabeth, welcome to the live stream. We're excited to have you. We've made a few new things to try to make the streaming experience even better for you as we're doing this live, and we're excited to start. And DC, do you have your iPad sharing it? Not yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn up the music a little bit, move from studio. I'm gonna let Kat introduce herself. I have no certifications of any kind. I just run my mouth on the internet, and I've been doing this for about 3 months now, and I met a lot of great people, Kat being one of them. She was actually just featured in an article for Elamir, and if y'all haven't read it yet, it's a very, I'm glad that Elamir's story is getting picked up, because it's been wild so far. So
Yeah.
Kat, if you would like to introduce yourself and tell us all the good things, that'd be great.
So my name is Kat. I'm a licensed registered dietitian nutritionist, and I create content primarily on YouTube, reviews going over nutrition related businesses, products, like scammy ones, in my opinion, mostly nutrition related MLMs and other fear mongering nutrition claims. And so Young Living, even though it's mostly known for essential oils, they also have some supplements. And so I've done a couple videos on them. And I was a part of another nutrition related MLM company before, but I was trying to, and also Young Living, though I did not know it. I was trying to support a friend, and I ordered some oils from her, and I did not know that that meant that she put me as a distributor. So I didn't find out until a year later when it ran out. So that's my involvement with Young Living.
That is
and I
pretty
didn't
wild.
want to use them either because I have multiple cats. I have a dog, and I did not want to believe them in what they were saying because of other information I was reading about safety and concerns around pets and everything. And so I didn't use them, but I was trying to support her at that time. I was not aware of all the concerns around multi-level marketing and how harmful they can be. So,
Yeah. And I would say even some of the distributors aren't even aware of some of the concerns about oils in general. I actually wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts about ingesting it?
Oh no, I don't recommend them.
Because that's very rampant amongst all of the private Facebook pages.
Yes.
And so as a registered dietitian, why is that so dangerous? It's not just us being haters and us hating, Young Living. You wouldn't recommend anybody ingesting any essential oils,
they're
right?
just so and they're not meant for that ingestion, and they're just so concentrated. When you're eating the oils in like actual food, naturally occurring, like the technical essential oils that are going to be in there are just so small. But when you have even the drop, that's a lot of concentrated essential oil. And I've had clients who started with me, came with me, who were putting the lemon drops in their water, and that they were coming to me for digestive health issues, having problems. And so that was one of the first things. We're like, okay, let's take this out, see how you feel before we continue on and do anything else. Like that's number one, take those out if you can.
Wow.
Yeah. And because oil and water, they don't mix, right? And so it's just gonna sit on the top, and you're just having that. And they're drinking it first thing in the morning too. So with nothing else in their stomach, dangerous.
Wow. And when I joined, I thought everyone had their best intention for advice. I thought that like it was safe. I thought things that were being repeated by a large group of people were safe. And so it was eye-opening, one, finding out all this stuff, two, finding out Young Living, in my opinion, is lying about one, the quality of their oils, because it's not necessarily that much different than anybody else. And then three, recommending people ingest them. And they even have, for the FDA, they had to create a whole separate line, even though it's the same oil, with the white label because of like SKU numbers type things. And then they recommend like these, you can ingest these. And it's like, whoa. Let's hold up. Let us hold up.
No.
So go ahead if you were going to say something. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Talking about the good intentions, I do believe that the people who join, they have good intentions and do want to help people.
Yeah.
And I think that's important in how we approach anti-MLM education, because not everybody, there are some people who are aware of it all and are taking advantage of people and know how it works. But a lot of the people don't. And once they find that out, though, that's when they go ahead and bow out. But of course, those are the ones who didn't work hard enough, according to the others, the uplines. But yeah, there's a lot of people with good intentions who unfortunately get wrapped up in there.
Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna try to make chapter markers because these streams are longer. I'm trying to go back, so to help me, I've made these little like little slides just to transition us into the topic. So we're going to be doing we're going to skip the proceedings. And they're arguing about a few things in the beginning about someone said that he wasn't a lawyer from California and it was inappropriate in front of the jury. It's all court stuff. I'm going to make a separate video, but we're just going to get straight into the cross-examination from Mr. Gaylord. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the slide, and then we're going to pop the screen share up. Okay.
Perfect. So fancy.
Yes. All right. So here, this is again still cross-examination. And just as a reminder, there's two groups of defendants, and they both have their own lawyers. And so the first group went last stream, and the second group is going this stream. And so we're going to go ahead and read that. And we may even get to the second witness, depends on how long this cross-examination takes. But there's going to be a cross-examination, and there's going to be a redirect, I think. And then it's kind of confusing. I'm not a lawyer. I just like reading stuff on the internet. So, and this is all our opinion. All of that is pre-stated at the beginning of the stream. We are, this is all our opinion, and we are trying to use somewhat of protective language, but we think that what has been revealed in these transcripts is important. And we hope that this information helps you in some kind of way. All right.
And these are publicly found.
Yes, they are publicly available documents. You can find them on Pacer. You can pay for them on Pacer, or you can just email us and we can send them to you if you want to read them yourself. We are not trying to gatekeep any information. There's other creators that are sharing these, and we are trying to. The more people that see them, the better, in my opinion, and I think in Kat's opinion too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you don't know us and you come across this video and you're like, I am passionate and I want to like do them as well. These were provided to us by MLMombie, and I think I don't want to speak for Ceara, but she is an advocate. She's an activist in the anti-multi-level marketing space, and I think from what she has done in the past, she is promoting sharing information. I think that's what she's always done. I'll double check with her that's okay to share with y'all as well. But if you want access to these, let me know and we'll get them to you. Okay. So Kat, would you like to be Mr. Gaylord? I guess I've been Gary Young.
Yeah.
So would you like to be Mr. Mr.
Yeah,
Gaylord?
absolutely.
Okay. All right. Great.
All right. We're starting from the.
Let's start with the court. Yeah. Let me go ahead and put the court up just so. We'll now have Mr. Young come back up and proceed with cross-examination by Mr. Gaylord. I'll advise the witness, Mr. Young, that you are still under oath. Gary Young says yes, which is surprise because we know what he did last time. And then Mr. Gaylord.
Good morning, Mr. Young.
Good morning. And here we go. Right. Cross-examination.
Here we go. Yesterday, you testified that David Sterling, Emily Wright, Justin Harrison, and Lillian Shepard all signed employment agreements with Young Living. Is that correct?
Yes.
And your testimony is based on having seen and reviewed each of those employment agreements, correct?
I have seen them.
You testified to having even negotiated the agreement with Mr. Sterling, at least in part?
Yes.
You did not negotiate the terms of Mr. Harrison's employment agreement, correct?
No.
You were not present when the employment agreement with Young Living and Mr. Harrison was signed, correct?
I don't believe so.
And you did not negotiate the terms of Ms. Shepard's employment agreement?
I don't believe so.
Nor were you present when that agreement was signed?
I don't believe so.
But you have reviewed and been shown a copy of Mr. Harrison and Ms. Shepard's employment agreements?
Yes.
And if I recall correctly, you said that David Sterling's employment was signed first, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again?
If I recall your testimony correctly, you said that David Sterling's employment agreement was signed first.
I believe so, to my recall.
and that testimony was signed before Ms. Wright, and it was signed before Mr. Harrison's, and it was signed before Ms. Shepard's?
That I don't recall. If it was signed before Miss Wright's because she was working in the company before Mr. Sterling was employed.
Okay. How about fair to say it was signed before Ms. Shepard and Mr. Harrison?
I believe it was. Oh, what are you doing, iPad? Okay, sorry. That's my bad. We're technical difficulties. One moment. We do not need to be on battery saver. We're plugged in. And what are we doing over here? Live chat.
Oh.
My apologies. This is DC struck again.
It's all
Okay.
Gary's fault.
I know, Gary, literally. Okay. Let's start the screen sharing again. And what in the world? All right, we're back, I think. And then we're going to do the pop-up. All right. Okay. And Gary Young's ghost stopping it. Seriously. Oh, okay. Share screen.
Yay.
Add to stream.
Okay.
We're back, I think. Let me get rid of this little line real quick. Okay. Oh. All right, we're just going to be difficult. Sorry. Okay.
And then
All right,
on the
and
last page.
Oh, geez. Why are you doing this to a stream? Okay. This was... Where is the witness? Am I too far? I must be too far. Sorry.
I thought it was like page 1 or page 2.
Well, we skipped the...
Oh,
wait. We're in the wrong... We're not in the wrong one.
Oh.
We were just... There we go.
There we go.
Okay, so we were here, I think.
Next one.
Next one? Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Wait. Mr. Sterling's was signed first. It was not entirely true. Sorry, live chat.
I'm pretty sure it was the next one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Is it true that Ms. Shepard's employment agreement was also signed before Mr. Sterling's? 9.
Okay, thank you. There were contracts that were rewritten and re-signed with the new management team, so I can't after 10 years recall exactly what those dates were.
And the new management team is the management team that was rolling over every time you didn't appreciate what that management team was doing?
Ouch. Sorry. I'm sorry. Say that again.
Sure. That was kind of confusing worded. Weird.
Yes.
Sure. I'm on Carrie's side here. That was confusing. Okay. Sure. The management team you're referring to, when there was a new management team, it's because you had fired the prior management team.
Ouch. This is burn. Okay. No, that's not true.
So what do you mean when you say new management team?
When David Sterling accepted his position, there were contracts that I was led to believe were being rewritten at the time for the new level managers.
So you also testified that Young Living has performed all of its obligations under the terms of the employment agreements?
Yes.
What were Young Living's obligations under the employment agreements? Employment agreement with Mr. Harrison?
Salary, benefits, severance, if that took place.
And the agreement that you reviewed contained references to the salary that would be paid to Mr. Harrison, correct?
Restate that question, please.
The employment agreement that you reviewed contained information relating to salary that was going to be paid to Mr. Harrison, correct?
I believe so.
And it also contained a provision that indicated the benefits were that Mr. Harrison was entitled to receive, such as a 401k benefits?
That was customary.
Okay. And would the same be true with regards to the agreement with the employment agreement with Miss Shepard?
Normally so.
Okay. And the agreement that you reviewed from Miss Shepard also contained that information, her salary?
I believe so.
Her compensation?
I believe so.
And both Miss Shepard and Mr. Harrison were employees at will, is that right? Mr. Shepard? Miss Shepard and Mr. Harrison's employees' agreements were employment agreements at will?
Yes, I believe so.
And you understand that, quote, at will, end quote, means Young Living could fire them for any reason?
My understanding is we live in an at-will state, but we don't fire for any reason.
Okay, but as an at will state, you could terminate Mr. Harrison and Miss Shepard if you so chose.
I believe that's the policy.
And in fact, Mr. Harrison could leave at will as well, right?
Yes, he could.
And Miss Shepard could leave at will, right?
Yes.
You testified that you reviewed Mr. Harrison's employment file as well, correct?
I reviewed his contract, yes.
And his employment file?
I saw different documents in his employment file at different times.
I think what you testified to is it was a regular occurrence whenever a new employee was hired and signed an employee agreement. Your corporate attorney would provide with you a copy of that agreement so that you could review it.
That was the case.
And was it fairly common for you to review employment files of your employees?
Not always.
But you did with regards to Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Okay, I'll hand you a book. Would you mind opening that to exhibit 1294? Don't show it, even pull it up on the screen. Now you see, so he doesn't want you to show it? Don't show it, even pull it up on the screen.
There's some things in a trial just to, from what I understand, if it hasn't been, exhibits aren't necessarily admitted to evidence, and if they're not admitted, then the jury can't see them, but they can still, just for people watching,
reference it.
Yep.
Got it. Gotcha. Now you see the first page of this document. Take a moment and look through this document. I'm going to ask you, first of all, does this appear to be the employee file that you reviewed in your capacity as a chief executive officer of Young Living? It's the employment file of Mr. Harrison.
Are you referring to exhibit 1294?
Let me stop.
Or 03?
Let me stop. I'm asking you to review the entire file. My question to you, Mr. Young, is this is, in fact, the employee file of Mr. Harrison that you reviewed with your corporate counsel, correct?
This looks correct.
Move for admission of 1294, Your Honor.
Mr. Toth, again, we're going to object to that, Your Honor. This entire file was late designated. Judge says approach, sidebar discussion, and then we're back to Mr. Gaylord.
Do you want to affirm, just so the jury knows, that that objection was sustained? If you would, you can publish this. Put up Exhibit 27. Exhibit 27 is stipulated too. There's a question, Your Honor, so the jury knows you sustained Mr. Toth's objection, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. If you would, let's blow this up a little bit. So looking at Exhibit 27, Mr. Young, do you recognize this document?
I've seen it.
Is this a document that you and your corporate counsel reviewed?
Say that again?
Is this a document that you and your corporate counsel reviewed?
Yes.
Okay. And would you, in fact, I'm going to give you the exhibit in hard copy if you don't mind.
I can give this back to you?
You can give that back. If you just want to hand it to me, I'll do that part. There we go. If you look at Exhibit 27.
Exhibit 27?
Exhibit 27, correct.
This one goes to 23.
Let's try again then. There you go. Have you got 27 now?
Yes.
This is a multi 3 or 4 page agreement, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's turn to the last page of this document.
Yes.
If you blow up the section starting with his signature, this appears to have been signed by Justin Harrison. Is that correct?
Appears.
And it's not signed by Young Living?
There's not a signature there.
Okay. And you previously just testified that this agreement contains provisions about compensation and benefits, correct?
Sorry, I was coughing.
13.
Okay. Most of them do.
Yes. Would you please find for me in this agreement, well, isn't it true this agreement contains no reference to compensation or benefits?
I'm not seeing that at the moment.
Okay. Would you turn to this is Exhibit 28 then. And this is the agreement that you testified to earlier that you reviewed with your counsel relating to Lillian Shepherd.
I've seen these contracts, yes.
Okay. And if you look at page 4 again,
Yes?
it contains Ms. Shepherd's signature. Page 4?
Yes.
And that was signed. Blow that up, bottom half, please. That shows it was signed on February 25th, 2002, correct?
Yes.
Not signed by Young Living?
Correct.
And true, this document also contains nothing about compensation to be paid to Ms. Shepherd or any benefits to be conferred upon her by Young Living.
On this particular contract, that's true.
Are there other contracts that exist relating to compensation?
Your Honor, we're going to object to that on the same basis we objected earlier this morning with the court. That was a conversation. Again, they were going back and forth with details. It wouldn't add value to like this conversation. Okay. Judge, I believe the objection is relevance. What's the relevance?
Back to Mr. Gaylord. Well, he just testified, if I'm not mistaken, that, well, it doesn't talk about compensation here, but it talks about compensation somewhere else. Let me follow up.
Okay. Your Honor, this is Mr. Toth again. Can we approach? Judge says yes. Sidebar discussion. Mr. Gaylord.
Again, you've sustained that objection?
Judge said yes, and we're back to Mr. Gaylord.
All right. Mr. Young, you do not consider Mr. Harrison to be an executive at Young Living, do you?
Gary, I'm sorry. Could you restate the question?
Sure. You do not consider Mr. Harrison to be an executive of Young Living?
No.
And Mr. Harrison resigned from Young Living in February 11th, 2008, correct?
I believe so.
And at the time of his resignation, he was the regional business developer for the Western region, correct?
I believe that was his title.
And your understanding of why Mr. Harrison resigned was because he felt underappreciated for his position, correct?
Sir, could you speak into the microphone?
Sure, I thought I was. My apologies.
Gary apparently is having an issue hearing, which I the only reason I am giggling is because Gary Young has been so evasive with answering questions directly, which
Yes.
he gets to as a witness. I get that, but he is just being a little slippery. That's all. So that's just, yeah. Okay.
You understand why Mr. Harrison resigned was because he felt underappreciated in his position?
No, I didn't understand.
You understood that he should have been the next sales and marketing officer. You understood he felt he resigned because he should have been the next sales and marketing officer?
I was told that he resigned because he wanted a promotion and that his manager / boss at the time didn't feel he was worthy for a promotion.
Okay. Ms. Shepherd, she was employed by Young Living, right?
Yes.
She was not an executive of Young Living either, was she?
I don't recall that Lil was considered an executive at that time.
I feel like you should know who your executives are.
Yeah, I feel like Gary should know too, since he's so controlling.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And Ms. Shepherd gave her 2-week notice on February 8th, 2008, correct?
I believe so. I wasn't there.
And that's because she told your wife, Mary, she was quitting, correct?
No, at the time she was reporting to the then CEO of the company.
Well, but in a conversation with Mary Young, Lillian Shepherd told her, I'm quitting, and the reason I'm quitting is because of concerns about the Ecuadorian convention and potential volcano problems.
Not possible. There wasn't an Ecuador convention.
Was there?
There was going to be. What the heck? Okay, sorry. He's just being. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Was there an event being prepared in Ecuador February of 2007?
Yes, I believe there was.
And distributors were going to be traveling to Ecuador.
They did.
And Ms. Shepherd made it known that she was concerned to Mary about the volcano erupting in Ecuador.
That's possible. I can't say that.
And that's the reason she resigned?
Objection, foundation, judge said sustained, and then we're back to Mr. Gaylord.
Mr. Young, you're familiar with the policies and procedures of Young Living?
Most of them. Oh my gosh, Gary. Okay, most of them.
I think you testified yesterday that you pretty much authorize and give final approval for its terms.
For what? Sorry. For what?
What do you think?
God
What were we just
dang.
talking about? You pretty much authorize and give final approval to the terms and conditions set forth in the policies and procedures?
On cases when it was brought to me for question, yes.
Let me have you. Let's look at exhibit number 36 again.
Sorry. 36?
Yep, we can put that binder away.
Not 36?
No, 1136. Before you have a look at the exhibit in more in depth, let me take you through the general manner in which the company operates. A distributor will often sign up under a sponsor, correct?
Yes.
And that's an independent distributor, right?
Oh my God. Say that again?
It's an independent distributor, correct?
Yes.
And ordinarily, that sponsor is going to place a distributor within her downline
Correct.
or his downline, as the case may be.
Correct.
I was about to say, like, it's not.
What about the dudes? Oh my gosh.
Or a corporate downline, because you can have corporations as well as distributors, right?
No.
No? Okay. Ordinarily, a downline is a group of distributors that fall within the specific distributor's business, right?
Say that again?
Sure. A downline is a group of distributors
Yes.
that fall within a specific independent distributor's downline business.
Yes.
The sponsor is entitled to receive commission depending on whether the downline distributor buys product, correct?
Correct.
And I think you said yesterday there's no obligation to either, work that downline or even buy product from Young Living.
Hold on. I'm pausing because you have to buy product to have an active downline.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
And you
I'm
have
just
to buy product to be
yeah, you have to buy every month. So currently in Young Living, you have to buy 100 PV a month to actively participate in the promotion structure at Young Living. So, and it's more than $100 a month. So, for him to say that, it's not true. I don't. Am I not understanding what? I don't.
Because he says correct.
God. Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because when I was a distributor and I didn't even know it, I just wanted to buy the product to support my friend. So why couldn't I just do that and not be a distributor?
Yeah. Because she made more money on you being a brand partner than you being a customer. And so Young Living, it's just frustrating. It is just frustrating. So correct. So Mr. Gaylord, which is AKA Cat, said, and as I think you said yesterday, there's no obligation to either, work that downline or even buy product from Young Living. You have to buy product from Young Living. You have to. And Gary Young freaking says, correct. What? You're lying, sir. I am lying. I'm lying right now. Oh my God. Okay, sorry.
Okay, if you take a look, let's pull up page 3. Look at the very bottom. Blow up section 3.10. Period or .10.
Yeah.
If you look at page 3, you were asked a little bit about this yesterday, but the first line says, quote, "You are free to participate in other multi-level marketing or network marketing business ventures," end quote. That was a policy of Young Living, correct? Or right?
Correct.
Now, would you agree that Young Living's policies and procedures were not meant to bar distributors from soliciting family and friends to join other multi-level marketing companies, correct?
Correct.
That would be true as well with regards to your employees, right?
Oh, Mr. Toth, what are you doing? Okay, object to form. Then Gary Young says, I don't understand that question, even though he's supposed to. Wait for the judge. Okay, sorry. Judge says rephrase, please. And we've got Mr. Gaylord.
I will. You'd agree that Young Living's corporate policy was also not meant to bar employees from soliciting family and friends to join in other business venture?
Mr. Toth, objection, foundation. Court says overruled, so that means Mr. Gaylord can continue asking the question. Mr. Gary Young, I'm not sure your question, and we're back to Mr. Gaylord.
Let me say that again. You agree that Young Living's employment policies or company policies were not meant to bar employees from soliciting family and friends to join another business?
It was verbally known within the company that employees didn't solicit distributors or compete with distributors in the field. That's a known factor.
I get that. Thank you. Move to strike as non-responsive. My question to you is...
Judge says, I'll sustain that. Go ahead and ask the question. Just answer the question asked.
You believe Young Living's employment policies were not meant to bar employees from soliciting friends and family and friends to join another business?
I don't think so.
Let's go to page 113608. Let's start with section 14.3 in the middle of the right column. Blow up 14.3 for me. Now, there are several ways that a distributorship may be terminated or canceled. Correct?
Yes. Oh, hey, Dave. Sorry. Oh, driving again. I hate that for you. I'm sorry. We keep going live when you're driving. We are happy you're here, Dave. Okay. So I said yes, line 2, and then we're line 3.
Okay. 1 is an involuntary cancellation. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that occurs if there is a violation of these very policies and procedures. If an independent distributor violates the policies and procedures, and the company and the distributor agree that their distributorship can be terminated, right?
Correct.
And the result of an involuntary termination, if you look at the second sentence of the first paragraph, says, quote, involuntary cancellation or termination will result in the loss of all rights to the downline organization and any commissions, or I thought I was saying compensations, or business bonuses generated thereby. Do you see that?
Yes. The first paragraph, 4th sentence.
Yeah, I was getting distracted by my cat. She's attacking a cord. Let me get her really quick.
You're good.
Coconut, stop it. Go. Get up here. Okay. That was Coconut. Okay, we are back. She's a cat, so she really likes cords.
You're good. We love floofs here, so She's
very floofy. Very, very floofy. All right. Will you highlight that for me? Involuntary cancellation. Second sentence of that first paragraph. Quote, termination will result in the loss of all rights to the downline organization and any commissions or bonuses generated thereby. End quote.
Yes.
So if a distributor is involuntarily terminated, their entire downline remains at Young Living?
Correct.
And they will lose all their rights in that downline?
Correct.
Okay. If you look up, let's blow up 14.4, voluntary cancellation. Under section 14.4, a distributor was free to cancel their distributorship at any time, right?
Correct.
And in the event of a voluntary cancellation, let's look at 14.5. Okay, the effect of a cancellation or termination, and this is referencing whether it's voluntary or involuntary. But in the event of a cancellation or termination of a distributor, the distributor, quote, will release all rights to your distributorship benefits, including the downline organization and all future commissions and bonuses resulting from the downline sales production, end quote, right?
Correct.
The music's kind of loud.
Oh, sorry. I don't know. Sorry about that. It's not loud on my end.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
Maybe it's just on my end, but
okay. I turned it down.
That means even when somebody voluntarily decides to leave Young Living, their entire downline stays, right?
Yes.
And in fact, I think you testified yesterday that what happens in that instance, a downline rolls up to the upline distributor, right?
Correct.
And it's that upline distributor who then attends to that new now downline that they have just acquired because of the cancellation of a distributorship.
That's not exactly correct.
Well, that upline is responsible now for that downline, right?
They are responsible by moral obligation, but nobody can make somebody do something.
Okay. And one other way under these policies that a distributor can change is that a distributor can ask the company to transfer their distributorship to someone else.
Under certain conditions.
Right. If those conditions are met, the company will allow those transfers.
Correct.
And in that instance, there's been no unattended downline because the new distributor would be responsible for that downline organization.
Correct.
Now, yesterday, you were asked a few questions, and I'm not going to belabor this much, but I have a few questions on this. You confirmed it was Young Living's policy that employees within the company should not promote religion at conventions. Do you recall that testimony?
Restate that?
Sure, I'll try. I'll go slower. Yesterday, you confirmed that it was Young Living's policy that employees within the company should not promote religion at conventions.
Sorry. Promote,
17.
say that one, promote at convention. I'm not understanding what you're saying about convention. Oh
Well,
my God, you pretend to be a doctor and you don't understand what he's asking you? Give me a break.
what does he not understand? Well, I'm asking you, it's a company policy not to bring religion into the company, right?
Yes, it is.
And that policy starts with you.
Yes.
And you testified about Emily Wright that she worked closely with you and Mary.
Yes.
And that Emily was Mary's and your eyes and your ears in your absence. And you also agree that Emily was your eyes and ears and Mary's eyes and ears in your absence. And you trusted completely?
Oh, yes.
However, in your communications with Miss Wright, you used religious overtones, correct?
I don't recall.
Well, at one point, you told Emily, quote, when you got sucked into Satan's energy, everything gets twisted. That is Satan's way of helping the confusion grow, end quote. Correct?
I don't know if I said that.
How do you know if you don't you didn't say that?
It seems something awfully specific to forget that you said. You
Right.
know what I mean? Come
Like, that's
on,
not
buddy.
something that you I don't know. Maybe some people would hear that all the time, but
Sorry,
yes,
we need to give
coconut.
Coconut her props.
Coconut.
They are loving her name.
Aww.
If we only had a drink for when Gary didn't hear the question, if we only had a
Right.
nickel for every time Gary did not hear the question, we would be, I don't know, we would have money to do things on the internets with. Oh my gosh.
Do you recall, in fact, saying, quote, own it, Emily, and ask for forgiveness, end quote?
I don't recall saying that.
Can you imagine your boss telling you to ask for forgiveness?
Hell no. Live chat. If you worked somewhere, here you go, live chat. If you worked somewhere and your boss said, let's say you didn't work at any religious organization, not a school, not a church, not a synagogue, not a mosque, nothing. You worked in a purely secular space, and they said, your boss said you need to ask for forgiveness. No, I'd be contacting HR. I may have even gone to whatever state regulatory agency oversees all that, because that's twisty. That is some twisty stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kira.
Hey.
All these transcripts are provided by the incredible Kira, and she has her own website. It's MLMombie-anti-MLM, or I'm gonna have it linked in the description. I've been linking it every description, so I'd basically say eat my shorts. oh my gosh, everyone is so excited to see Kira. Yeah. Welcome back, Jess.
Yes.
We are just reading this Gary Young is he's being a whole moment, and it's not a fun moment in these transcripts. I will just say that.
No.
Yes,
Totally.
HR in a heartbeat. Seriously.
Mhm.
I'm a Christian and I would contact HR. Seriously. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's like, it's wild. It is wild.
Telling
it's
you
wild.
when you get sucked into Satan's energy.
Yeah.
No. That's
Yeah, that's a no for me.
No.
That is a no for me. Holy crap.
That's abusive.
Yeah.
Do you recall saying, own it and go to God, and the best place to talk to God is in the mountains, not with a Masonic ritual? You spend a day in the mountains and let God come into your heart and kick the devil out.
I didn't say that. Oh my gosh, Gary.
It's just so specific. Like, why would she say that? Why?
He said something similar in that opening video about going into the mountains and finding all of the oil. So like, that's in his vernacular. So I can imagine that this is my speculation. I bet you he said that. You know what I mean?
The fact that we have actual proof that he says there isn't those overtones, but we see that in what he says in those videos. So he's flat out lying. He never said that?
Not in the Are you kidding me? Gary, not in those words. Oh my gosh. Oh, sorry, Kira, that's awesome, your interview. I hope your interview went well.
Yeah.
She has been busy giving amazing interviews, and like we saw an article with Kat and Kira that they were both quoted, so she has been making the rounds. It's been incredible. Haven't missed anything good other than Gary being Gary, and it is really can you please repeat that? Can you please repeat that? Can you please restate the question? I didn't say it. You didn't say that? Well, not exactly like that. That's literally how it's been so far. So, not in those words.
You would agree that it has religious overtones, correct?
I have to disagree.
You disagree. Okay, let me have you look at Exhibit 1102. How could you disagree when you're using that terminology that it's not religious overtones?
Maybe he thinks it's spiritual overtones.
Spiritual, that's right.
Yeah. He has they're agreeing to disagree apparently, and they mean the same thing basically. It's just wild. It's just wild.
Yeah. This has not been published. Take it down. He's not in the right book. Let me get you the right book. Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 1102 and ask you what's your regular email address? Is your regular email address is sundance@youngliving.com, correct?
Correct.
And you recognize this document? Take a moment. You can read it. It's a multi-page document. I'm going to ask if you recognize it.
I don't recall seeing this letter.
Okay. It is addressed to sundance@youngliving.com. That's your that's just a funny email. I don't know.
Oh my God. Oh my
For
God.
him. That's your email, right?
Yes, that went to my wife and I both.
That's just so random.
Yeah. It's the pledge and donate all over again.
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. And it's from Emily Wright, correct?
Sorry, I'm lost. Yes, it appears to be.
Dated September 28th, 2007.
Correct.
I think that's Hillary Duff's birthday, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting crossover. It's a bright moment in this transcription reading.
Just a fact that I remember learning when I was like 13, and it just kind of solidified in my brain. I believe that's correct. Might be wrong. Okay. And that's a letter, an email address to you, right?
Yes.
Now, why don't you turn over? Maybe this will help refresh your recollection of this document. If you would, take a look at page 1102.004. This is an email from you to Emily, correct?
Okay, yes.
Did I say recollection? I don't know.
Yeah, you're good.
Move for admission of 1102, Your Honor.
Judge, any objection? Mr. Toth, no, Your Honor. Court, 1102 is received, and we're back to Mr. Gaylord.
Would you mind looking at let's pull this up now. Go to page 1102.04. Blow up the last paragraph if you would for us. Would you mind reading the first sentence of that paragraph, the first and second sentence of that paragraph out loud?
Emily, when you get sucked into Satan's energy, everything gets twisted. This is Satan's way of helping the confusion grow.
So when you just testified, you didn't say that wasn't true, was it?
Mr. Toth, objection, misstates his prior testimony. Then Gary, I don't remember saying that. This was 10 years ago. Judge overrules Mr. Toth, and so we're back to Mr. Gaylord.
Let's look at the next page, 1102.05.05. Blow up this very middle starting with own it. There you go. Would you mind reading that?
Own it and go to God. The best place to talk to God is in the mountains, not within a Masonic ritual. Spend a day in the mountains and let God can come into your heart and kick the devil out.
So you actually did say that to Ms. Wright on the day this document bears?
Apparently, I did.
You asserted Ms. Wright was not terminated until October 1st, 2007, right?
Mr. Toth, Your Honor, I'm going to object. We're back. Can we approach again? Sorry. Judge says yes. Sidebar discussion. Next page, Mr. Toth. We withdraw the question and we're back to Mr. Gaylord.
Mr. Young, again, I think yesterday you testified. I'm trying to cut right to the chase that Mr. Sterling traveled to Ecuador in 2007, correct?
I believe so. I'm not sure it was 2007 or 2006.
Okay, regardless of the date, during his visit, he discussed with you the idea of moving the company forward, didn't he?
No.
In fact, he discussed with you the idea of moving the company forward and you said no?
Not in the direction he wanted to go. Am I at the right spot? 14.
Yes.
Okay, not in the direction he wanted to go.
But you said no, correct?
I don't remember the conversation exactly.
Well, let me ask it this way. While Mr. Sterling was visiting in Ecuador, he discussed with you the idea of moving the company forward and you said no?
Mr. Sterling came to Ecuador for one reason.
I said Ecuador. It's just a yes or no question, Mr. Young. I'm going to say no. Oh, whoops.
Oh, I'm going to say no because that's not a correct statement.
Let me have you look at exhibit 1076. I think it's in that binder, probably back 1076. Tell me when you get there. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, this is a multi-page document, actually about 6 pages. First of all, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
Yes, this is a letter you wrote to Mark Shepard, correct?
No.
Rani, so?
I don't remember their last name. They were distributors in Australia.
It's dated December 9th, 2001, correct?
Yes.
Move for, where did it go? Admission of exhibit 1196, Your Honor.
Judge, any objection? Mr. Toth is objecting to relevance. So he said, relevance, Your Honor. I don't know how this document and these particular distributors are relevant to this discussion at all. The judge asks, what's the relevance? And Mr. Gaylord.
And Mr. Gaylord says, it shows the conversation and the exchange between Mr. Young and Mr. Sterling while he was in Ecuador. It's a follow-up to following questions. The previous questions I've asked him, it's for impeachment.
Mr. Toth, this document doesn't support that, Your Honor. It's also dated in 2011, 4 years after the alleged conversation. Judge, could you put on my screen what you're getting at here so I can see if it's relevant?
Third paragraph, Your Honor, first line, unless you want us to blow it up for you.
The court objection is overruled. And so Mr. Gaylord gets to continue with his questions, or I guess he gets to submit it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll just keep reading.
Why don't you publish it? Put up the third paragraph, blow up the third paragraph. Would you mind reading into the record the first sentence of that paragraph? Read it out for me.
Dave Sterling said he went to Ecuador with the idea of moving the company forward, and I said no. Did he tell you that there were...
That's okay. That's all I needed. The first sentence is all I was asking for. So when you said you never said that to Mr. Sterling, that wasn't true, was it?
No, not in this context.
That's all I have.
The court,
or that's all I have.
Okay. The court is saying direct, redirect. So there's a redirect. So we're going to take a chat break. Hold on. Let me find. I'm going to put my little... I'm putting chapters in so we can... So if people just want to watch certain parts, they can go straight to it. Live chat, what's up? What is going on? This is wild so far. It is almost like talking to someone who is being like a kid who's lying, or when they are being so like cagey about, no, I didn't say exactly that. I didn't say that. I didn't say it in that context. You're saying I said it at the grocery store, and I didn't say it at the grocery store. I said it at the library. You know, it is that kind of vibe of like...
It reminds me of how I would respond when I was a kid to my parents. Like, well, I didn't say that exactly. Yeah. But the gist, the information, the important stuff is there.
Yeah. Yep. And again, Mr. Gaylord is impeaching him because he has the documents that say Gary Young said this to that person. So it is wild. You made me pull over. Young Living has a super duper fantastic memory enhancing product called MindWise. So I guess someone isn't a product of the freaking product. They do have a product called MindWise.
I was going to ask, is that an actual product?
Dave, yes, comment of the hour. Seriously. This lawyer seems to have a ton of patience. Yeah. And again, you know, you have to think about it. They've been trying this case for several years now. Or in terms of they're gathering the evidence, they have their strategy, they have all these documents. So when they are letting the witness basically, I use this term, fall on their own sword or get themselves into trouble, you have a certain confidence knowing you have this email that's going to impeach them if they can let it come into, if they get it admitted. And again, the jury doesn't get to see anything until the witness can say, yes, I wrote that, or yes, I saw that, or whatever. And then at that point, you get to admit the evidence in, because they basically have to, I don't know all the correct terms, but witnesses, I guess, have to like establish that the evidence can come in. And then the judge gets to rule on that. Okay, back on the road. Sort your shit out, Gary, or this is going to take me all day. Oh my gosh. All right.
Basic background on the case?
Sure. Young Living started in, I think, 1991, and they went through several higher up executives. And after 2001, they had a group of people involved in the company, chief operating officer, distributors, personal assistant, events coordinator, and they had some, in their perspective, uncomfortable and inappropriate interactions with Gary Young, the founder of Young Living, and Gary Young's wife, Mary. And so they said, we're starting our own company. And so over the course of maybe a year, they were planning, and they said that they did not break their contract, but they started their own company called doTERRA. And doTERRA is very big as well. They're also based out of Utah. And Gary, I think Young Living filed this back a while ago, 2012, and I think it finished up in 2017. And so it's for breach of contract. But in these transcripts, we're seeing information come out that Young Living says they all of their products are seed to seal certified, meaning they are using better than organic seeds that never get touched by pesticides or weed killers or whatever that is. And they have control over the process from seed all the way to packaging. However, in these transcripts, we find out that they are buying a majority of their oils from brokers because they can't actually produce the amount of product they need to supply to all of their customers. And we saw that in, I think, the second transcript we read, because one of the lawyers asked, Gary Young, you have this many distributors and customers more than you did when you first started, which is about 10 to 12 times the number of people. Now, you said you were able to supply 51% back then of the oils yourselves to the customers. Do you have 10 to 12 more farms now to be able to supply this bigger number? And he said, no, we do not. So they do not have a seed, in my mind, in my perspective. This is my understanding of what we're reading in these transcripts. Their seed to seal promise is just a facade, because when you're buying from brokers, you can't assure that they are keeping an eye on every single, seed to whatever, seed to seal in that situation, in my opinion. So that's
And I mean, technically every essential oil it would be from the seed, and then it would get to the end product that would be sealed, right? So
yes.
What does that even
mean? Their perspective is they have built a reputation that their oils are not adulterated by chemicals. Like chemicals that would, create an overly toxic whatever environment in your body. And that's just not the case from what I understand. And they've had run-ins with getting adulterated oils from their brokers because they had a whole issue with cinnamon bark in the past. They've had issues with other oils, from my understanding. Ceara, aka Mombie, knows a lot, and even Kat knows a lot more than I do. I was just sucked into this commercial cult, and I have been learning as much as I can, but I believed so much of their promises before I got out, and I feel like I'm drinking from a fire hydrant, finding all this information that Ceara has been finding out and digging and researching. So
it's really important right now to focus on Young Living because they're having a lot of issues right now. One of them, check your Instagram. One of them being that a lot of Young Living distributors are moving over, leaving Young Living.
Yep.
Some of them leaving multi-level marketing, but a lot of them leaving to other companies. And it was either the second stream that we did, I think, or the third one, where Gary himself was talking about how harmful it is to the company whenever distributors leave and how it impacts the downlines and everything like that. And it causes issues within the company. And so we know that they are feeling the effects of distributors leaving currently. And so as much as we can do to report, I know a couple months ago, we reported a lot of a presentation about COVID related oil. Wait, is that doTERRA?
No, it was Young Living.
No, it was Young Living. Yeah.
Yep.
And so that got the attention of the right people, authorities. And so we just need to do more reporting.
Yep. And it is time intensive. It is it's not just enough to make videos or write articles and hope someone picks it up. The great thing about Kat and Ceara and other activists who are taking and like Aaron and Julie Joe and like other people and Savannah is they're finding all of this information and they're taking the tedious effort to go and report it to the FTC or the FDA or different regulatory agencies, because those are the people that need to know about this. I mean, again, for example, Monat, they got in trouble. They got fined by, I think, the Florida AG because one of their distributors was saying their multivitamin supplement would keep you healthy from the vid. And so that's a big It's a big deal, but I mean, it's just it's a lot of effort, especially when it doesn't seem like the companies want to. I don't think the companies necessarily have the manpower to keep their people in check, but the higher up people who are making these claims, these companies, it seems like there's a conflict of interest because if they slap these big income earners for them, they slow down bringing money in. So, it's I think maybe Kira is going to join us for a quick second. So,
Ah,
so we'll
yay!
cross our fingers and hope she can hop on. I just sent her the link. So,
Perfect. Sweet.
oh my goodness. Yes.
There she goes.
Kira!
Hi.
Yay! This is like the best surprise. I've been like sending her messages and like, do you wanna stream? Do you wanna stream? And she was like, I still have my equipment set up. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I'm
yes!
still set up from the interview.
Yay!
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Okay, Kira, if you don't mind me asking for like the live chat, how long have you been digging into Young Living?
Pretty much like after Boo.
Okay.
Is when my informant reached out to me and was like, hey, can you look into this? I'm still at the company and, there's some stuff going on and I can give you some information.
Everyone's so excited
I
to
can
see
you.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome. And you have several people who trust you because you keep their confidence, which is incredible. What if people want to take more of like an activist type role, I know you have lots of articles on your website. What would be like, oh my gosh, Dave. Everyone's so excited. We're so excited too. What would be like the best way for them to like start doing things like that?
Reporting for sure. Like that's something that everybody can do. It's very easy to just, if you see a false claim, report it. Ask other people to report too. You can all report the same claim or the same video if you see like on a TikTok or a reel or something. And just start speaking out, and if you're scared, you can always be anonymous. There's nothing wrong with that. People listen to people who are anonymous still. I started off anonymous with Mombie for the first 2 years. So you can make something out of that if you just want to speak up.
It sounds like a lot of intentional work rather than kind of just passively going through anti-MLM.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to get like really super into activism stuff, then, start commenting on the company's websites, and their social media accounts and stuff like that. Get a bunch of people to do it. We got It Works Facebook page shut down one time from people just like mass commenting it. There's like that kind of activism. Or, a lot of the claims are in these rep Facebook groups. So like get in there, there's ways to get into them, feign interest, and see if they'll let you into a testimonial group. And then there you go. You have a whole group full of claims to report to the FTC. So you just have to be active about it,
Yeah. And again, if y'all can imagine, I don't even know the amount of work Kira does, but I've seen the back end stuff from the information she's collected, but it's a lot of time. So when she's been behind the scenes a little bit, she has her own website, but there's a lot of like I don't know, work that she's done that's not necessarily like celebrated publicly. So I mean, it's just, I want to say like thank you so much for all the stuff that you've done. I mean, I know it can get exhausting and you're doing it for free. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's just
it's not just me too. Kat's done tons of work.
Yes, Kat's
as well.
Yep.
Mombie, Kira has a buy me a coffee option.
Oh, great.
Yep. But don't feel obligated to do that. That's just there because people kept asking me and I was like, okay, fine, I'll put one up.
But she doesn't like to promote that very often. So
no.
Well, we like to
I only did it out of like
promote Kira.
Because people wouldn't leave me alone if it was the same. Like I technically have like Boo merch too, and it's like, but that's because everybody's like, we need shirts, and I'm like, okay, I'll make some. But no, like it's just a passion for me, and
proud hater of Boo.
Yep, there you go.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, I just want to like, I don't know. I just hope that I don't know. I just want to keep platforming Kira and Kat, and like I know I'm like a small channel, but it's just they've done a lot of like behind the scenes work that's not really. I don't know what it is. Like it's nice. It does feel nice to get credit publicly, but again, there's a lot of more effective work that's done behind the scenes because, when you're not targeted publicly, it's easier to get things done and it's easier for people to trust you. And so it's been great, like a great example to see Kira, and then Kira introduced me to Kat, and just like the great example they both have been. I'm just like, I just have so much to learn. It's just, I don't know. It's been great getting to know you both, but I don't know.
I mean,
Y'all should go follow Kira's website and
thank you. But it's just, there's different outlets within the movement that's like everybody's making a difference. You being on here and having this platform is making a huge difference, So there's people who I can tell are watching that are not commenting in the chat, but they're listening. And especially with this Young Living stuff, I guarantee you some of those are Young Living reps that are just like, what's going on? I want to hear this transcript.
Yeah.
You're making a difference out there. And it's just even saying anything, even if it's to a friend or family member, being like, hey, watch out for multi-level marketing. It's a scam. Or gently saying stuff to somebody who's in it that like those are all making a difference. Even if it's just one person, and that's why that's all I care. If I can save somebody from like these health and wellness MLMs that, have these cure-alls, if somebody goes to the doctor instead of taking Elamir or Boo or whatever the newest thing is, then I'm happy because that's somebody that's potentially not going to die because they didn't go to a doctor and didn't take medication. So
yeah. I mean, it's an incredible thing because I mean, I didn't go to the doctor. I mean, I'm nervous around the doctor anyways, but being in Young Living for so long, they're very anti-doctor in the group that I was in, and they were prescribing things from that book that I've showed before. And being in that group, being in part of that group think where you're always like second guessing or saying like, oh, I'm probably feeling this way because my diet's not right, or there's probably an oil I could apply topically or take internally, and it really screws up your thinking. And again, I think it just lucked out that I finally made it to the doctor because I really needed to be on medication for my mental health, and it it could have ended, I think, pretty differently for me personally if I had continued in Young Living, just because like I needed the help. I wasn't able to overcome it with diet. I wasn't able to overcome it with aromatherapy. So I don't know, there's different tools, but again, working with a licensed professional is incredibly important. And to have like licensed professionals usurped or not usurped, but invalidated by people who are trying to sell you a product from a multi-level marketing company, it's so twisty because one, more often than not, probably 99% of the people in multi-level marketing aren't not a doctor. I mean, some of them are nurses. I've seen that, and that's just twisty in itself. But I don't know. It just to derail or to deter people from going to the doctor and going to therapy or going, to see a registered dietitian or whatever. It's it's really preventing people from getting the help they need. So.
And that's kind of why when I joined, I had just became a registered dietitian. I was a baby, still a baby dietitian. But my upline was a PhD level registered dietitian who I then found out that their PhD was from a diploma mill, not an accredited actual university. But there were medical doctors and there, registered nurses, pharmacists high up in the company, lots of other registered dietitians, health professionals overall. And so Amanda MC also, she's a registered nurse. And so I think it's important for health professionals who have been in them to talk about it and to help general all the people, but especially other health professionals who are kind of learning about MLM or leaving them, and to help with that kind of guilt and shame, because there is a lot of that in questioning, like, how did I get roped into that? How did I fall for that? And so for those health professionals who are in there, like, they're not all a lost cause, and they can kind of hopefully get out of there sooner rather than later once they kind of learn and recognize the harm that is done in them.
Mm.
Yeah.
Kira.
Oh yeah, Jess, that's a good point for skincare. Being an esthetician.
For both of y'all, maybe you could answer this question. I've noticed sometimes it gets a little bit loud between anti-MLM and MLM. And I know that both of y'all have had conversations with people in your DMs who are probably still in MLM. How is there a balance or a nuance to having these kind of conversations and speaking out where it keeps the doors open? Have y'all discovered anything in this process of being activists? Is there something you could like recommend for people, or like what have you learned, and what have been some key points in like keeping the communication open? Or is it more of a speaking out is the important part and the people who are open to hearing will listen?
I mean, I think it's all important, but probably the best advice I could give if you are dealing with people who are in an MLM is be kind. You know, I think it's very easy when we consume a lot of anti-MLM content to get wrapped up kind of like in strong emotions with anger and stuff and at the predatory nature of multi-level marketing. But reps are the victims and they're real people too.
Yeah.
And you might not agree, like I'm a very pro-science person, pro-vaccine, but I was able to connect with people in Boo who were the complete opposite of that just because I was willing to listen. And you don't have to argue with them on everything. And I feel like that opens up a lot of doors if you would just listen and be kind. It's like the whole you attract more bees with honey than vinegar type of thing.
Yeah.
And I even get that with like all the Young Living stuff that's been going on. I have people who DM me and they're like, oh, well, those reps that are, with Modere are the ones exposing it, but then they're off selling Modere 2 seconds later. And it's like, you have to give people grace, like they need to take their time to ease out of a cult. It's not like they just, bam, oh, it's a cult and I'm done.
Right.
People don't understand the like psychological abuse and damage that being in a cult does. I think people who are getting out sometimes don't realize how much has actually happened to them. And you need to give people a chance to make their way out. And it might not be immediately you want. They might not just become immediately anti-MLM. They need to process that themselves. And a lot of times people get into multi-level marketing because they can't work a regular job. So to think that they can just like pop on off and go and get a regular job, even like just a minimum wage job, which they might make more money at, they might not be able to do that. What if they're the sole caregiver of 6 kids? What if they, live in an RV and they are not, have a regular place of residence?
Yeah.
Or, with you guys, military spouses, and you're moving so much, it's hard to keep a job. So it's like, unless they have like maybe a platform that would listen to them on social media, or they start their own business, but those take time too. You have to build those up. So to think that they can just jump into a regular job, we have to stop thinking of that. So people might not be able to get out right away because they need to set themselves up to be able to afford living. And it might be easier for them to jump from like one company to another one that's not as toxic, we'll say. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of these Young Living reps jumping to Modere.
Yeah.
They feel Modere is not as toxic as Young Living, and that may or may not be true. I don't know. But I think we have to give them grace. And then now they see the red flags in Young Living. So maybe one day they'll start to see the issue with multi-level marketing in general.
Yeah.
So I think you got to kind of like give people that. They have to learn kind of slowly sometimes, and that's okay.
That's really good. I think I personally have been guilty of getting caught up in hyper focusing on bad behavior within reps and multi-level marketing. And, it's like, I really do try when I can, like go back and watch my content. And it's like, okay, this was a misstep. I'm still okay with saying that. And again, still remembering like I was in Young Living for 3 years and I was watching anti-MLM content for a year and a half before I left. And it took me a year and a half to be like, okay, one, I am open enough to hearing about that maybe I am in a potential undue influence situation. And again, it was even scary to even think about leaving. I was still at the point even before the whole stuff with February that had happened where I was like, okay, well, at least I know like it's not great. But my friends are still here. I mean, the people that, again, moving around is hard to keep friends for me. And so I was like, I'm fine like paying for this if I still get to like talk to my friends. And then all that stuff happened, and so it's like, okay, I just have to like, personally have to leave. So I mean, it's it's a very complicated, it's financial, and there's also community, and there's also like all this stuff. And so it's, again, I think it's important to, and I think that's a really good point, Kiera, to remember the kindness and compassion and empathy for how complex the situation can be when you're in these, commercial cults and the multi-level marketing groups and stuff like that. So I think it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it takes over their whole lives a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Everything becomes about that company. So imagine taking your whole life and having to change it to something different. Your job, your main source of income, the products that you're using to clean your house, that you eat, that you use as medicine, even if that's not right, but like a lot of them are using that. And your whole way of thinking, just even thinking differently, because old habits die hard, and it's a whole process. It's not that simple. People just don't pop off and one day they're just completely anti-MLM, pro science, and everything's better, and they're gonna listen to everything you say. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. And I feel like if you are giving people kindness, you're also helping break down that whole like black and white thinking that cults use. Because a lot of times people don't want to talk to anti-MLM people because we're already classified by the cult as the haters, that we're negative, the enemy. It's an us versus them situation. So if you prove them right by being, a rude person to them, all you're doing is proving the cult right. You're pushing them back to the cult, right?
Yep.
So if you're kind and you're like, I'm here for you, I might not agree with that, but I'm here and I support you. That's a lot better way to get through to somebody and prove the cult wrong just by being nice, because they're already thinking you're the enemy.
Yeah.
That's one reason. And I see both sides of it. And like, I don't, I understand both sides of the argument of like for YouTube videos, showing the person or having them blurred out. And I'm friends with people who do both. Me personally, I do like to blur everyone out except for people who actually work for the company, like Autumn Calabrese as an example. But distributors, I will block them out just because you're in a different thought process and a different like mindset. And if they were to come across that after they leave or anything, like I don't want them to feel like even worse than they already do feel from leaving. So yeah, that's one thing that I like to do to help with that, help them see, not blasting their face or anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's something that I have not blurred public figures on my page, but again, that's something to consider, because again, if we're thinking about this in a complex way, because situations are complex, and like if like y'all were saying, addressing it with kindness and empathy and compassion, and at least acknowledging how complex this can be, that is something to consider about blurring. And that's that's really good feedback. I mean, that's really good. That's something to think about for sure.
I also want to add that like it's hard for a lot of people. You kind of get people on both sides in anti-MLM, because it's hard for people to understand that it is a dichotomy. You have people who are the victims while simultaneously are the perpetrators, because that's what they've been manipulated to do. So when people are reacting to reps, it's not an attack. What they're showing is the behaviors that have been taught in the MLM or the cult, the manipulation tactics. That's really what we're like trying to point out with that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel like the fine line is. If you're sticking to like, okay, what they're saying is wrong and this is why, that's okay, because that's not them. That's what they're taught. And would that person be saying that stuff if they weren't in an MLM? Because most of them wouldn't be, So you're really critiquing the MLM, not the person in that situation. And I think if you kind of take that out of it, take the personal side out of it, then yes, we need to break down those manipulation tactics so people understand what's happening in the cult and how people are getting roped in with these tactics or being made to stay in with those tactics. But when you're talking to somebody like one-on-one, it's where I was coming from. If you're talking to a rep in your inbox, or if you get into activism and you have an informant, that's where kindness is really, really important, and just listening, you know?
Yep.
So, but I do still think we need to, and whether you blur or not, that's a personal thing, obviously, and it's got its pros and cons. And same with Kat, I have friends that do both, and you know, I understand their choices. I think there's a good and a bad to both of those, but I think as long as you're focusing your content on the behavior and not the person, when you start making fun of the rep or making it more about them than the problems that they're causing with the manipulation, that's where there's an issue.
Yeah,
that's a big point.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I just to even be the trusted place for people to go. So like there's lots of informants who trust Ceara, and that's not the case necessarily with a lot of people. I mean, to really like be able to be quiet and keep someone's identity a secret for years and years, it's sometimes hard to do for other people because they want to be able to say, look, I have someone who trusted me and they're on the inside, and you know what I mean? And so like the fact there's people like Ceara out there who respect people and keep trust, and you know, loyalty is important. It's kind of a rare thing. And again, I know, like, I'm just trying to again just speak like all the good things. I'm not trying to love bomb Ceara. I'm just trying to say like I can imagine it is sometimes very wearying to like do all the hard work and not get acknowledged, and I know that Ceara doesn't do it for the public acknowledgement, but I just wanted to, since she's here on a public, you know, platform, and I know Kat's been doing it too. I just I just wanted to acknowledge
important
Ceara.
to provide that kind of credit too, because we're all about like calling out ethical practice, and unethical practices, and so where we can credit where appropriate, that's a good thing.
And I mean, even within any online community, you're gonna have people who like take advantage of situations and stuff too. So it's like there are people who will take credit when credit's not given to somebody that actually deserves it and stuff. And there's plagiarism and stuff that happens, you know. So it's like, yes, it's like, even though I know you're not love bombing me, and I appreciate it, it's really nice to hear and stuff like that, even though like I feel awkward taking compliments, but but you know, I appreciate it. It's nice, but you know, like I also don't want to, I'm not like this is the first time I've been on live.
I know, we love it. I love it so much. I'm like secretly like, yes, this is the first step. We're gonna get her on more. This is amazing. But Lori had a question for you, Ceara.
Yeah, I was just looking at it.
Okay. She also has stickers.
Oh, awesome.
Well, I got into anti-MLM because a family member was involved with Herbalife, and I just started like, I went down the rabbit hole, you know, like researching specifically that company at first, and then multi-level marketing in general. And I just realized, like, at first I saw it as that it was like a pyramid scheme and that people were being financially scammed. So that was my first issue with it. But once I realized that they were also a cult, which took reading a rep's personal story before I was able to understand that they were a cult. Like once I read the story, I was like, oh shit, because I've like true crime and cults and stuff like that. I always have, but I didn't see it until I read somebody's personal experience, and I was like, oh, they're love bombing them, they're guilt tripping them, they're gaslight, you know, like, and I could pinpoint it. And I had such a mind shift at that point because I was very angry with reps at first, you know?
Yeah.
And when I realized it was a cult, I was like, they're victims. And that's like where I had that mind shift. And I realized that they're preying on like some of the most vulnerable people in our society. And, you know, even myself, it's like, we're on one income. I have health issues that I can't work. I'm a stay-at-home mom. You know, it's like, and then I'm prime meat, basically. You know, I could see like I'm the type of person, if I was in a bad headspace, it could have been me, because anybody can get roped into a cult. Anybody. It has nothing to do with intelligence. It's not people being dumb. It's not people being gullible. It isn't. That's not how cults work. You know, you're vulnerable or desperate, you know, financially, emotionally, and they prey on that. They just get you the right way and they manipulate you into it. So when I saw that, I was like, I can't just sit here and know that like my peers even, or that elderly people or poor college kids or immigrants or military spouses are being preyed on because they're already isolated, they're already financially unstable, that they're lonely, or people who are going through hard times in their life. They just lost a child or a spouse or went through a divorce. Those are the people that they prey on. And it's like our government is not doing what they need to do when it comes to MLMs. They should be illegal. They have worse loss rates than a no product pyramid scheme. A much worse. I mean, you're talking 90% lose money in a no product pyramid scheme versus 99.7% on the conservative side are losing money. So it's like, why are they being allowed? Because they're so ingrained into politics, not just in the United States, but worldwide, not on one side or the other. It's a political issue, and if our own regulators are not doing something about it, then we, the people, have to do something about it. That's the only way it's going to change. We have to talk about it. We have to say something. And when I started, there was hardly any coverage.
Yeah.
There was no YouTube. There was Reddit. It might have been created, but it wasn't a thing. There wasn't really r/anti-MLM. There's no TikTok. There was just bloggers and like a handful of people on social media. And that's it. So it's so important that we keep speaking up and more people keep speaking up so that it does change. Because as it stands and how it's been for the last 50 years, 60 years, we have to change it. We have to, because they're not doing it. They're paying off politicians. They're lobbying groups with like the DSA, all of that. Like they've got their hands in there. And if we want it to change, we have to change it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of saw anti-MLM as being haters, but they also had made some good points. So I was like, let me stick around and listen a little bit. But it took a while, and it was all these little multiple videos that would kind of plant some seeds, as they say.
Yeah, well, that's what you have to do, because people in a cult are just going to listen to straight facts. They're not going to listen to you, be like, you're in a cult, you're in a pyramid. They're not going to listen to that.
Yeah.
They need to question things themselves. So it's a matter of more just being kind, being supportive. Maybe you don't have to support their MLM. Support them as a person. And get them to start thinking about things that are off about multi-level marketing for themselves. Like, how much did it cost for you to join and stuff? Or, like with Young Living stuff, isn't it weird that they used to claim Seed to Seal was this, but now they're claiming that they use brokers, and they're saying they've always used brokers, but according to their website and their advertising material, that's not true. Like, isn't that weird to you? You know what I mean? Like, you got to get them thinking about it.
Yeah.
What happens in cult? They're stopping their thoughts. Like, that's what they do in cult. They don't want you to ask questions.
Yep.
Because if you ask questions, that leads you out of the cult. So.
Yeah. And I mean, when people ask the wrong type of, well, again, in the Facebook group that I was a part of, they had it set up where you couldn't just post to the wall. Everything would have to be approved by administrators, and all of the administrators were higher than silver level in Young Living. So it was gold and above.
Like that.
And so you'd ask a question, and if it wasn't appropriate, it would never see the light of day. And so there was a lot of control there. But if for some reason one of the leaders would post a question, like with that book situation, they posted the press release from the company, and then people in the comments were allowed to ask questions. Like that wasn't controlled, other than when someone asked the wrong type of question or said, hey, I don't really think that answered my personal question. I was asking about this. And then the leader the Crown Diamond would come and say, oh, I think the press release completely answered your question. And if you don't think they did, then that's a problem with you. And so it's like, you already are scared to even ask questions because you're going to get reamed in front of thousands of other people who, are reading that thread. So, yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just a
Complicated.
weird
The whole
situation.
thing's
It's very complicated and it's hard to
And then
explain.
as
Yeah.
you're leaving, it's not just leaving the people who you became friends with, but it's also going back to people who said no to the opportunity and people who maybe gave you some pushback when you were there, and just kind of that awkward between in those kind of relationships of being out of that, but still, you know, thinking about
Yeah.
how you reacted to other people and
Yeah.
interacted with them.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think one of the number one things that I hear too is just when people realize that it's a cult, that it's a scam, the guilt and shame they have for getting other people into it is like, that's the number one thing. And like, that's where I really don't think it's their fault, because they're just doing what they were told, you know?
Yep.
Yes, they shouldn't have used those tactics, and it's good that we call those tactics out so that people can recognize them and not fall for them.
Yeah.
But they're just doing what they're told in most cases. I mean, there are definitely some people up at the top that are, I just think that's their nature. But
Mm.
the majority of people, I think, are just average people, and they're not bad. They're just doing what they've been taught, or they're so desperate they feel they have to, because they're not going to make, you know, they're not going to stay active this month, or whatever the situation, you know? So
Yep.
that's why I say you just got to be kind and give people grace and try and understand it from a perspective that maybe you've never been in yourself. But you know,
Yep.
and listen to people who are ex reps, you know, like Kat and DC, you know. The anti-MLM movement is founded on people who were in multi-level marketing and came out and gave their experiences, and that's so important to listen to and appreciate and honor, you know, because I've never been in MLM. So as much as I've researched and as many people as I've talked to, I have not lived the experience like the two of you have. So you have something and a way to reach people that I just never will, you know? And that's so special. And not just you guys as creators, but everybody in the chat that's been in a multi-level marketing company, you have a way to reach people that not everybody does. And if you want to help people, like, that's your key. Think about how you were when you were in there and what made you get out and understand that whole thought process. That's what you got to tap into if you're trying to help people.
That's so good. And again, for Ceara, for you not having ever been in a multi-level marketing, like the empathy and like the kindness that you bring to like people who have been in, because it's very like for me and my dad and I have talked about it on live before, but like I feel like an incredible amount of like shame and embarrassment for having been in it. And my dad's like, no, like it was a deceptive recruiting tactics that got you in. And because we just listened to a call for Mary Kay, and he was like, she was being deceptive from the beginning. And so it's like, if you are listening to this and you've gotten out, or you're still in and you have that kind of uncomfortable, like, oh, I've spent all this time in this, I can't leave now, you can pivot at any time. I'm not trying to interfere with your contract with your company. I'm saying there's freedom in knowing like you can pivot at any time. And while you may feel those uncomfortable feelings of shame, like those don't, like, as my dad says, like, you don't need to feel ashamed about it. Like I still live with that. I'm still trying to process through that, like with my therapist. But you know, it's being on this side of it, like I would just be like, don't feel weighted down by like those feelings. That you don't need to take responsibility for all of those, because a lot of times, from what I've seen, and I've watched hundreds and hundreds of hours of Zoom calls, and I've been in it where you got talked into something, or even in Kat's case, like they signed her up for a brand partner and she didn't even know. So it's just, you know, I mean, it's
the
more
other one I was
complicated
very
than
much
that.
aware of, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But still, it's like, you know, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to
It's
say,
on the
but
companies. It's on the companies, because
Yeah.
they allow it to happen and they teach it downline.
Yep.
Whether they put it in their advertising material publicly at all, it's on them. They're the ones that are doing that, you know. So I just don't think it's fair to put so much blame on people who were deceived instead of the deceivers, you know.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, some people might need, like, if you did something and you knew that it was wrong when you were doing it, then yeah, I understand there being some personal responsibility. But you have to understand that when people are like brainwashed in a cult, they're not thinking logically. They're not using their critical thinking skills. So you're talking about somebody that is not in their right mind in a way, you know? They're not what you would think of when you're talking to somebody. They're not, I don't want to say normal, you know what I mean? But they're not in the right normal mindset that most people are and think, this sounds a little sketchy, or what are you talking about? I would never do that. Or, you know, they don't have that. It's being told to do something and not questioning it. And until you can understand that, you know, even if you're just logically trying to understand it, like from somebody who hasn't been in an MLM, you need to connect with that. And even when you start getting like really angry, because believe me, there are reps who piss me off all the time. I will debate a rep, don't get me wrong, but I always try and stay as calm as I can. I try not to name call them. I try and explain it as best as I can, the issues that I'm having. You know, ask them questions again to get them thinking about stuff themselves, you know? But yeah, I don't think that there's any good for you when you come out of an MLM, or for people who are anti-MLM trying to reach people who are in MLMs. I don't think there's any help from like going after them and putting a ton of blame on them.
Oh yeah.
Those type of things to me is going to push it. They're going to go back to where they felt supported, which was in the cult, because they had a whole community there. You know, so we have to be very conscious of our own emotions when we go into this and not projecting that onto reps. Yes, it's okay to be rightfully angry at things that MLMs do and the manipulation that reps perpetuate, you know, but you need to kind of separate it and understand you're not dealing with somebody kind of in the right mind. They're just doing what they're told. They're like a bot, you know, a Hun bot of the cult. And you have to kind of learn to separate that in your mind. Take a deep breath. You're not going to reach that person if you're just calling them names and being an asshole, you know?
Yeah. I was reading a blog post by Stephen Hassan, and he was talking about like the cult self and your true self. And when you get into these groups, you kind of have a new kind of identity, because you've learned like all of the rules, and you started, you know, taking the instruction and direction without, you know, really like thinking. And there's a lot of other stuff involved. And when you come out of it, it's kind of like figuring out like what's your true self, and, you know, what were some things that you picked up that were from the, you know, the cult that you were a part of. So
there are some posts that I would make that come up every so often on Facebook, and I'm like, that does not sound like me. They weren't terrible, but they still weren't me.
Yeah. Yep. Hello, a live chat. Sorry, y'all have been busy over here. We've been trying to put some of the messages on the board, but
I am probably going to get going because my kids are going to be home soon, and I want to get off before they're here because, you know, I don't want them online.
Thank you so much for joining us. All of your perspective is like just the best, and just thank you. It was like such a delight to like have you on and have you speak to all of us. So thank you so much.
Love everybody in the chat too.
Love you too.
My late night crew.
Yes. Okay.
Good night, everybody.
Cool. All right.
That was fun.
Yeah, that's a blast. So here's my thing. We are at a stopping point where we're at redirect. Do you want to like go ahead and close this live down for tonight? And
that works.
And then we can do a redirect for like stretching that. I feel like that was such a good pop in, and that Ceara could even get on and
it was
and talk.
Good timing. And yeah. That was great.
Well, so this transcript is 321 pages long, and we're 39 pages in, but we're at the redirect. So that's it.
39 pages in.
I know. Gary Young. I don't recall. What do you recall, sir?
Oh, just this part, not the whole. Yeah. Okay. I got it. Yeah.
Yep. So the redirect is Mr. Toth, and gosh, how many pages is that? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. Oh, it's only 10. Do you want to get through the cross and then pause at the recross?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, cool. At least that way we'll get more of it in, and then let me go ahead and put our little thing in, and then so I could chapter it. Okay. Redirect by Mr. Toth. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Good morning. Oh, wait, no.
Do you want
Do
to
you
be
want me to
Mr.
be Mr. Toth? Yes.
Yeah, because I'm Mr. Young, I think.
Yes. Mr. Young. Good morning, Mr. Young.
Good morning, Mr. Toth.
I just have a few questions for you. Why don't we start with where Mr. Gaylord left off?
Sorry, let me just put Mr. Toth up. Okay. Okay.
He said you made a statement that you told that Mr. Sterling wanted to move the company a different direction, and you said no. Do you recall that testimony?
Correct.
Then he asked you to read that.
Correct.
And when you read that sentence, there was a question mark after the end of the word no, wasn't there?
Correct.
What did that mean?
That meant I said no because some of the things that he presented to me, for example, like he wanted to get rid of the farms, that was a big issue. And he didn't want me spending money on the farms because it interfered with other things. And that's why I said no.
Let's change subjects. Do you recall that Mr. Smith asked you some questions yesterday about the ability of distributors to come and go from Young Living under the policies and procedures?
Correct.
And do you recall that he pointed out that some distributors, the distributors are free to leave all the time, aren't they?
Correct.
And that some don't stay long, correct?
Correct.
Is that the case with all distributors?
No.
What do you mean by that?
Sorry, I lost. Well, we have distributors that are still in the company that have been there 20 years.
Can you give me some examples that are relevant to this case?
Yeah, Kathy Farmer, Jeffrey Lewis, many of our top leaders that are still there.
Do you call Mr. Smith and Mr. Gaylord asking you, do you recall?
Yeah.
Asking you about Young Living's policies and procedures about a distributor being allowed to work in more than one network marketing company?
Sorry. I was like getting distracted. Yes. Sorry.
I'd like to, what would you put up, please? Exhibit 1136. Would you please blow up paragraph 3.10.1? I believe it's on page 3. Mr. Gaylord talked about it earlier this morning. It's that bottom left-hand corner. Mr. Young, do you remember being questioned about this paragraph?
Yes.
And do you remember a question from Mr. Gaylord about being asked if it was okay, if there was a prohibition for family and friends to get people to join network marketing companies? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you know what cross recruiting is?
Yes.
Would you please tell a jury what cross recruiting means?
Cross recruiting is when you have two separate organizations that are not commingled. For example, if Mr. Toth built his organization and I had an organization, but we weren't sponsored by each other, and if my distributors and my organization went to his distributors and recruited them to come over into another company, that's cross recruiting.
And please highlight the second line of paragraph 3.10.1, and that second line reads,
however, during the term of this agreement, you may not recruit other Young Living distributors.
Keep going, sir, that entire sentence.
Or preferred customers into any other multi-level marketing or network marketing business. The term recruit means actual or attempted solicitation and enrollment.
Thank you. Are there any exceptions in here for family and friends to cross-recruit?
No.
Is that a prohibition to Young Living's policies and procedures against cross-recruiting?
Mr. Gaylord, objection. Document speaks for itself. I mean, he's testified it is what it is.
That's fine, Your Honor. I'll withdraw that. I'd like to change subjects with you again.
Okay.
If you remember yesterday's testimony, and I'm sure you do, you and Mr. Smith had a long set of questions and answers about the meeting in which Mr. Sterling was allegedly terminated. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes.
Do you recall that dialogue? That dialogue went on for about 45 minutes?
Yeah.
I'd like to direct your attention to what was marked and admitted as Exhibit 10. Do you recall Mr. Smith asking you to read the first sentence of this?
Yes.
Exhibit to you, and he asked you a lot of questions about that. Did he not?
Correct.
I'd like to look at now the second paragraph of this exhibit. Do you see the paragraph that begins, quote, "Are you as you requested," end quote?
Yeah.
Would you highlight that first sentence in the second paragraph, please? Mr. Smith did not ask you about this paragraph, did he?
No, he did not.
Would you please read that sentence?
As you requested, I would like to give you an opportunity to demonstrate your ability to make the changes we discussed to remain employed with the company.
What did Mr. Sterling ask you about in the August 8th meeting?
Well, the issues that came up was the accusations that were filed by several employees of abuse from Mr. Sterling. So I talked to him about that and about the opportunity that remained.
And when you say, sir, when you say what, quote, the opportunity that remained, end quote, do you mean the opportunity that remained for Mr. Sterling at Young Living?
Correct.
And what was that opportunity?
Well, what I stated in that meeting is that I would give him the opportunity with administrative leave or leave of absence to reevaluate his issues while we were pending investigation of the allegations from the employees. And at the point while he was at home, I would give him work that he could work from home to stay employed. That
No, what?
he said he couldn't remember what he said in that meeting, and now he's saying every single thing he told him.
Yes. And then there was the
Gary!
whole thing before that he didn't have any access to do his work because he needed to talk to other people to do his job.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And let me direct
Oh.
your attention to is that what you refer to as, quote, the special projects agreement, end quote?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to look, don't publish this to the jury yet, please. I'm going to ask you to look at what has been marked as Plaintiff's Trial Exhibit 11.
Yes.
Do you have that in front of you, sir?
Yes.
Is that a letter that you signed?
Yes.
Is that your signature on the bottom of it?
Yes.
And it's dated September 5th, 2007, correct?
Correct. Mr. Toth. Okay. Sorry.
Your Honor, I'd move to have Plaintiff's Trial Exhibit 11 moved into evidence.
All right. Mr. Smith said no objections. Judge said received, and we're back to Mr. Toth.
Mr. Young, I'd like you to look at the first exhibit. You weren't shown this document during Mr. Smith's cross-examination yesterday, were you?
Can you say that again?
You weren't shown this document yesterday?
No, I was not.
Would you look at the first paragraph of Exhibit 11?
Yes.
And did Mr. Sterling ever return to you this special projects agreement that you asked him to sign?
No, he never did.
And that was an agreement he requested also, yes?
Correct. Mr. Smith. Objection leading to the last question moved to strike the response. Judge said, I'll have you rephrase, and we're back to Mr. Toth.
Okay. What did Mr. Sterling request from you in the August 8th meeting?
I wanted to know what some of the special projects would be that he would be working on. What do you mean?
You give him to...
He said that he was going to give him projects and that he was never able to reach him on the phone.
Yes. That it was just his wife answering the phone.
What? Okay, sorry. That's not in the transcript. Oh my God. I wanted to know what some of the special projects would be that he would be working on.
Gary's lied. Not surprising.
Dear God.
And what did this letter of September 5th, 2007 purport? What strike that? When you drafted this letter on September 5th, 2007, had you received any response from Mr. Sterling?
Absolutely not. Mr. Smith, objection, lack of foundation. The question was leading as phrased. Judge said overruled. And then Mr. Toth.
What did you, based on this letter, Mr. Young, what did you understand Mr. Sterling's termination date to be?
And then Mr. Smith, objection, irrelevant. Judge overruled Mr. Smith's objection. Gary says September 7th, and then we're back to Mr. Toth.
Thank you. Let's talk very briefly, sir. Do you recall a discussion from Mr. Smith about Young Living's Seed to Seal program?
Yes.
What is Young Living's Seed to Seal program?
Yes, Gary, what is it? The Seed to Seal program is cultivating, sourcing, distilling, testing.
Okay. How does the Seed to Seal program work, generally speaking? Did I just ask that?
No, no, you didn't. Okay, I started it myself 25 years ago, working with the farmers in the different countries and helping us to establish them to a standard that I wanted to adhere to. For example, changing out the old copper stills and the old carbon stills and replacing them with stainless steel stills. Say that 3 times fast. Then we set up a testing standard so we can monitor the oils to know what we were producing and cultivation practices.
And Young Living obtains the vast majority of its oils from its own farms, partner farms, and seal certified suppliers, correct?
Correct.
Is that something Young Living takes seriously?
Absolutely.
I don't have any further questions. I don't have any further for you. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Judge is going to ask recross. Mr. Smith is going to say, yes, Your Honor. Mr. Toth, Your Honor, before. I'm sorry. Oh, that's you. Sorry. Go ahead.
Your Honor, before. I'm sorry. Your Honor, may we approach? May we approach? That's my fault. I just wanted to ask this. And then a sidebar discussion was had.
Okay. So I think we're going to save recross for a next stream. Let's look through the comments real quick. Methinks counsel has talked with Mr. Oily Pants during the break. I think you're right, Lynn. His oils kicked in. Yes, they did. It's literally an oily miracle. Oh my gosh. Because his oily attorney is asking the questions. Yep. Oh my gosh. Must have had his mind wise. Yep, Elizabeth. Yep.
Yep.
I'm back on this side now. Kira, love it. Kira, everyone was so stoked about your appearance on the stream, and we really appreciate. And just, I'm gonna
Get
take
your
Mr.
Mombie
Toth.
sticker.
Yes, get your Mombie sticker. Elizabeth, have you met our Gary? Hold on, the last video, didn't Gary say he didn't know when Sterling's termination date was? You are correct, Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
And don't take my word for it. Read on the screen of the transcripts that we've posted. We've literally read almost every single word so far, and we're only in transcript number 3. And we still have over 280 pages left to go. Oh my gosh.
We've gone through a bit though.
Wild. Yes, we've gone through quite a bit. And again, so at the beginning of this trial, I think one side has 60 hours and the other side has 50. I mean, so it's a lot of hours that we're going to be reading through here. No, you're not ever an interruption. I think everyone was just like, Kira gets an automatic pass to come on any stream anytime.
It was a good conversation. Important.
It was a great conversation. Yeah. And again, I guess I'm team, like I know I can be snarky on some of my streams. I at the core of it, I would love to like be more kind and be more empathetic. And
snark is fun, and it gets eyes on things. It gets the information out. It's there are some positives to that.
Yeah, I just like in the context want to remember like being kind is important, and remembering like again, if you've never been in a multi-level marketing company where it has been culty, or if it has used undue influence, or there has been manipulation, it's really hard to grasp the concept that there's a lot of people who are being unduly influenced en masse. And it's hard to even say like, oh, a bunch of people wouldn't be joining in on something. They couldn't be. And it's hard to process that in my experience, that is going on with Young Living and in other multi-level marketing companies.
And there's room for both.
Yep.
And we've briefly mentioned this before. The very first video that I saw, because I was subscribed to Kiki Chanel, and she put out her first video, and it made me unsubscribe. But I still watched it, and her other anti-MLM videos that she put out shortly after that. But what really got me out and leaving was Monica. Monica Hayworth now, and her approach is, there's a little bit of that snark, but she has a very nice approach and makes sure that her message is coming across, that there is this kind of like there is that guilt and shame with it. There's that victim process of moving through it, and that, we don't have to make fun of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep, and there are some very. I mean, we have lots of snarkable moments on my channel. We have lots of people we snark on. So, I think it's just it's a balance. It's a dance. It's complex. It's and I think it's a range. It's it's. I mean, I snark. Feel free to snark on me if you're in multi-level marketing. I'm here for it. Okay.
Yeah, that's good content.
Yep. Let's see.
For you to react to.
I do have a sensitive stomach. I've tried all the Shakeology and it's bad. It's so bad.
I've never tried it.
Oh, do not. Okay, so on the packaging, and I know we're talking about Young Living, it says even though the reps tell you that it's like a complete meal or like a replacement on the back on the package, it doesn't. It says you need to add a bunch of other things to make it a complete meal, and you need to add other things to make it creamy, because if you mix this just with water, it's not creamy.
It's like
if you can imagine, it's like algae, spinach, metallic chalk, drywall plaster. Like that's
I would try
texture.
it if I had a free sample, but
I'll send you this. I cut it.
I mean, it's
open just to
open.
smell it. I just cut it open to smell it, but it's it's chai. It's the new flavor. Do you want me to send it to you?
I mean, you can.
Okay, I'll send it to you. We'll let Kat try Shakeology. Oh my gosh, this is a new flavor that they apparently sold out of. So I returned mine. So I bought it. It was over $85 for 14 packets. It wasn't even a full 30-day supply.
No, that was another thing too. The company that I was with, they had they created a program. That's one of the reasons why I started putting my foot down and being like, no. But the way that it was sold in 4 months. You would purchase it like in 4 month installments, but it would only be enough for 2 months if you had it every day. It was and I didn't like that they had a shake even.
Yeah, it's really delightful, Dave. It is just it's shocking. Yeah. Don't do it, Kat. well, I'll send it to her and she can try it if she wants to. I just kind of opened to smell it and I was like, it can't smell that bad. It does. It smells bad to me. Yeah. Yeah, Homeland Security is going to seize the open pack of Shakeology, think it's something else. Hopefully it won't get to her. We'll see.
Right.
Well, it's been a great conversation. Super surprise with Ceara joining it in for the chat. For legal reasons, that's a joke. Chelsea, I think you're a mod over on Emily D. Baker, right? I think Chelsea is a moderator over there.
Ooh, nice.
But we're not legal professionals. We just read stuff on the internet. We're just
You are
nosy.
more of a legal professional than I am.
Yeah, so we are just nosy. I'm so nosy. I don't know if Kat's nosy, but we're here to talk about all this stuff.
That's why
yes, she is. We love Emily D. Baker. I'm a big stan. I will say that. I don't know. I watch all of her stuff.
Nice.
Well, we're gonna schedule the next live stream, so it'll be the recross examination by Mr. Smith with Gary Young, and it'll probably that one's not super long, but so there's a recross, and then we start with the next witness, so it'll be a good time, and we'll let you know when we are gonna be going. Sorry, I'm sick. Just had to get my Kleenex. Yep. But we'll let y'all know when the next stream is available. And I'm keeping all these in a playlist, and they're going to be in order. So if you want to binge listen to them, you can just press play and it'll go through in chronological order for you. And I think Kat is doing the same thing on her channel, so you can listen in order. Yes, we are big Emily D. Baker fans over here. For sure. So anyways, live chat, you've been incredible. We love the support. If y'all don't already follow Kat, I'm sure you do, but if you don't, please go over there and follow her channel. And she's done some incredible work, and especially bringing her experience as a registered dietitian to the conversation for multi-level marketing too has been amazing. And so yeah, I'd love for you to go support her. And Replay Crew, we love you. Let us know what you think in the comment section. I try to keep up with my comments, and I think Kat does too on her channel. And
wait,
so if
these
you
are
have
all
something
coming in. Yeah, they're from yeah. I was like, was I just on your channel the whole time?
But oh no, Tanya, you're good. Tanya is also a creator here. She does multi-level marketing content, and she's incredible. She's very spicy and direct, and she has her degree is in, I think, education and psychology, child psychology. It's something great. So when she's been able to stream with me, it's been amazing conversations. So yes, Dave needs to binge because he's always in the car when we're streaming. So let us know what you think. And we'll catch you on the next live stream. Let me go ahead and roll the outro, I guess. Bye, guys.